Hey guys, it's Nick Campanell from Taylor Timepieces, and on this video I'm going to be talking about something really interesting. It's a question I get very often. It's basically, when I'm buying a timepiece, what platform do I use? Whether it's eBay, Chrono24, a website, a private party, off the platform, things like that. I'm going to say in advance, please excuse my look of general tiredness as of right now. It is around 1 o'clock in the morning, and we are currently making some changes to the website to create the best experience for you guys here at Taylor Timepieces. But I wanted to take a break because it was on my mind, and as a lot of these videos are very off the cuff, as the name of the podcast generally alludes to, came to mind. So I had a couple minutes I wanted to talk about that. When it comes to buying a timepiece, there are pros and cons rather to every platform that you purchase from. Of course, I have personal favorites and I have personal things that I don't like about each and every platform. We probably do the most business, of course, off the platform, with the second being eBay. So I figured I'd talk about that one first. eBay is a great platform. They've recently introduced their authenticity guarantee within the last couple of years. As a buyer, I see a lot of benefits to going through the authenticity guarantee program. With that being said, the company that is behind the authenticity guarantee program, that's Stolen Co. While I think that they are a great company, like any other company, they do make mistakes with authenticity, and that's something to be aware of. I can tell you that they've authenticated pieces before that had not necessarily been authentic when they've come to our office if we're buying something from the platform, which we don't do often, of course, because we have outside sources that we could go and purchase timepieces from, and things like that. From a seller perspective as well, because I know some of you guys are collectors, and you do, of course, wear some pieces for a while and then sell them. It can be a little difficult because if you have any aftermarket parts on your item, sometimes you're aware of that, other times you're not aware of that. As dealers, our biggest thing with the authenticity guarantee program is any additional accessories that we usually provide with the item. On a lot of occasions, if it is an aftermarket item, like let's say we sell a Rolex, we want to include an extra strap, or we sell we just had it earlier this week, actually yesterday, where we sold a vintage Omega to a gentleman, and we included an aftermarket box because he said it was a gift for his wife, and it went through the authenticity guarantee, and they said, hey, we're denying this because it does not have the authentic box. Now, of course, nowhere in the listing did we say that the box was authentic. Nowhere in the listing did we claim the box was authentic. We didn't allude to that at all, and it was just something we wanted to add for the clients to make sure that the client and his wife had a more pleasant experience. And of course, that purchase got denied, which is unfortunate. I know, especially as a seller, a lot of times you will have situations where if you're an end user, you're trying to sell an item, perhaps you don't know that a part on your item is inauthentic. I mean, that's something that we deal with a lot, especially when you buy from a third party. And a good dealer that I know did a recent video on this, on a gentleman that he knows, and of course, being in the New York, New Jersey area, I'm not going to name any names, but essentially, he sold a watch, or rather, a watch was sold to his client, and this watch came from a pretty well-known YouTube influencer, and the parts were not correct on the watch, and of course, the buyer of the watch, that was an end user, did not know, because of course he wasn't trained in this. So I mean, if he was to sell that item on eBay, it would be returned, and then he would, of course, be frustrated. So that's always something to keep in mind. Positive to eBay is, of course, you have that consistent communication. I find that, different platforms like Chrono24, um, because they are a European-based company, sometimes their customer service isn't as on point as eBay. I will say this, even though a lot of times we don't get the result that we're looking for, the eBay customer service team is pretty fair, and they are always pretty readily attentive. Now, if I was to go and look on Chrono24, which I know they just made some changes to their website, uh, of course, Chrono24, you have the more consistent communication with that buyer, um, or with that seller rather, if you are a buyer. So one of the things I like that Chrono24 does is, um, you have a little bit more open communication with the buyer. There's no with a seller rather. There's no words you can't say or things like that. Of course, within reason. But it's much easier to communicate with the seller. The seller usually has information or a phone number on their website that's hooked up to Chrono24 that you can call and discuss the piece. So you have a little bit more leeway and a little bit more um, uh, agency in that regard if you are a buyer on that platform. Now, of course, we already discussed the negative of that platform. Is of course because they are a European company, that their customer service is a little bit harder to reach. That doesn't necessarily mean they have bad customer service. And if you are a EU or international client looking to buy a watch, that's great. Then that is something that's is really beneficial to you. But as far as being in the States and being able to connect with somebody maybe in Germany, especially a lot of clients that I know only really shop after 5 p.m., 6 p.m. when the American workday is over. So to be able to get a hold of those people in Germany and Austria and different things like that can be a little difficult. With that being said, positive to working at Chrono24, you get your watch pretty much the next day, because it's a more direct communication with the seller as opposed to eBay. You don't have to go through the rigmarole of the authenticity guarantee. That is, of course, an option that they've now implemented in the last couple of months, I believe, on Chrono24, where you can pay another $250 and get the item authenticated. But for the most part, if you order something on Monday in the morning, the client has the seller has overnight shipping. You'll get it by Tuesday, Wednesday the latest if there's any delays in shipping. Versus on eBay, it could be a week and a half before you finally, receive that piece. The negative, of course, to Chrono24 is kind of that double-edged sword of, hey, we don't have authenticity guarantee, so you don't always know what you're getting. I mean, I've seen horror stories. There was a video not too long ago by a well-known watchmaker in Texas that his client bought an AP and the diamonds were, not authentic diamonds. They were, VVS or whatever it was. Essentially, lab-grown diamonds, and this seller had listed this item as original with all original diamonds, and of course that wasn't the case. There's no checks and balances on the Chrono24 platform. That's God forbid. With that being said, Chrono24 does have that 14-day payout policy if you are dealing with a dealer. And I always recommend, in that 14 days to go and get that item inspected. That's always something that's, I think is the best option. You have that 14-day return policy. Well, eBay does have a 30-day return policy. eBay's policy is a little bit more in depth because you have to ship directly to the authenticity guarantee service. You have 30 days with eBay versus 14 days with Chrono24. But I just think the visibility on the Chrono24 platform and the fact that you do have a little bit more contact with the seller, I think that's something to be said about the transparency in the watch industry. Then finally, of course, it's dealing with the customer off the platform, or dealing with the seller rather off the platform. Um, as a buyer, the benefit is you're going to get the best price possible because you don't have to worry about fees. You know, um, when going this route, I always we accept credit card, we accept crypto, all different forms of payment. Um, and in general, I think that while going off the platform would be the best financially, it's also the option with the least amount of protection to yourself. Now, there's of course ways to mitigate that. You have credit cards with credit card payments and PayPal. PayPal has that goods and services, of course, but those all have additional fees tied to them. So I would say this: if you trust the person that you're working with, which again, you shouldn't be buying anything if you don't trust the person that you're working with. But if you trust the person you're working with and are comfortable sending a wire and you're knowledgeable on that um, method of sending payment, then the working with that client directly is going to be, or working with that seller directly is going to be the best way to, have the most access to the seller and also get the best price possible. Now, of course, as far as aftercare, that's also a negative of working with somebody off the platform is you don't really have a lot of recourse. We, of course, at Taylor Timepieces, inspect all our pieces, and then we also warranty our pieces for up to a year. Um, and on the movement of the watches, because of course our general philosophy is, hey, I don't want to sell you a watch, and it's not working in 6 months, and then you're unhappy with the item. So, while we do cover that, there are a lot of other sellers that once they sell an item, they don't really communicate a lot with the buyer once the item is received. There's no follow-up call. There's no warranty on the pieces. If you're dealing with somebody, if you're dealing with somebody off the platform. Now, I mean, which one do I prefer? I can tell you, like I said, we probably do the most business in person as far as working through our store and going off the platform. As far as people, that's a lot of repeat business. We have we've built up the reputation through the years, and we have videos like this that help to explain, educate, and also people see our face. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started the YouTube platform, was I wanted people to see my face and know that I'm a real person and I really do run a business. I really do have watches here. We have I mean, I can show you all these pieces we have here. That's just on the side of my desk here in my home office. And so when you have a silver like that and you're dealing with them off the platform and there's a lot of transparency there, I think it's a great thing. But for I mean, like I said, I think that while there are positive and negatives to every platform, if you can build that trust on the second or third transaction, I say go off the platform. For the most part, as far as my favorite platform to buy and sell on, I would say it's eBay for right now. If Carbon24 changes some of their policies when it comes to authenticity and payout periods, that's definitely something that I would talk about in the future. But for right now, I would say the best bang for your buck, if you are buying and selling and it's your first time and you're a first time buyer and you don't have that communication with the seller, eBay is probably your best bet, because of course eBay, they sell all their items and they're also catering through their authenticity program to people who are very capable of, or rather catering to people who are very new to the watch buying experience. So if you're buying your first piece, entry level, and you don't have that communication with the seller as far as a direct line, and they're not, you know, upfront and personal like we are, I would say eBay. Core 24 does have some benefits, but I think for the average US buyer, it's probably not your best choice for a first-time purchase. Again, it's a little late right now as we are recording this video, so I really appreciate you guys cutting me some slack on my current appearance of my sweatshirt and general lack of energy on this video. But it was just something that was on my mind as we are working late building this website for you, and I do appreciate you guys giving it a watch. Thanks. Bye bye.